Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 6. This week, as you're going to be preparing your conflict brief, I just wanted to share a few tips that I hope will help you and have helped me in writing numerous research papers over the years. As a reminder, when you're selecting your conflict that you would like to analyze and write about, you have to choose a current ongoing conflict and also do not choose a conflict that involves your own country. The point of this exercise is to practice using the tools that we're talking about in analyzing a conflict and making recommendations for transformation, not to demonstrate your insider's knowledge about your own country. So just an outline first. We're going to be talking about citing your sources and also utilizing the HJI library resources. I'm just going to give a basic overview. If you have further questions about the HJI library and its resources, both online and on physical resources, you can email a library at hji.edu. I'm not the best person for those questions. And then also we're going to talk about some tips for generating citations easily. If you're already very familiar with these things, then that's fine. You don't have to continue. This is really for those who either need a refresher or could utilize these extra tips for creating a good quality research paper as your final project. So citing your sources, I hope it goes without saying that you must cite your sources. Those are things that you are directly quoting from other authors. You can't just pull quotes into your paper without citing and giving exact information about where that quote came from. And you also have to cite summarized ideas that come from other authors. And you should select a style that you would like to stick to. There are many different styles. Personally, I prefer APA. You can also use Chicago if you're familiar. I would not recommend MLA. That's typically used in literature backgrounds, whereas APA or Chicago are frequently used for social sciences. And there are different ways of doing citations, in-text citations. You can do parenthetical citations, or you can also do footnotes. And there's different ways for doing both. Personally, I prefer parenthetical. I feel footnotes are too complicated, but that is up to you. But just stick to whatever way you want to choose. Don't go back and forth. And you also need to have a list of your resources at the end of your paper. Just from examples of a direct quote, parenthetical in-text citation. This is from a paper I wrote many years ago in grad school. But you see here, this is a quote that I pulled from this author. And so I have the parenthetical citation, the last name, the year of the publication, and the page number where you can find it. If there's no page number, you don't include it. Like things like online articles don't have page numbers, but when there is a page number, it should be included for a direct quote. You should also, as I mentioned, give citations when you are summarizing another author's findings or another author's ideas. If you are using their ideas to support your argument in your paper, then you need to cite them, even if you're not using a direct quotation. This is just an example, another paper that I wrote at HJI. So these sentences, blah, 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 here. These two sentences were from this research study by Laney et al. I'm not directly quoting, but this is not an idea that came from me. I'm basically summarizing some of their main findings. So I have to show that this is where it comes from. So since it's not a direct quote, there's no page number, but I'm including that here. You can also use footnotes. I would recommend to check out more about footnotes. As I mentioned, I am not personally fond of footnotes. I mean, using them. If you would like to use them and you're familiar, please go ahead. But there's two basic ways to do it. You have the first time you cite a source, you do the full note. If you cite the source again, you would do a shorter note. And here's just two examples, right? So they have the first one is the full note. The second one is a shorter version. And if, say, for example, the following citation is from the exact same place as the previous one, you can use this ibid. Actually, I don't even know if that's the correct way to pronounce it, but it's Latin and it just means that exactly the same as the previous one, exact same page number, exact same author, title, everything. So again, it's just you have to be consistent in how you're citing your sources. So please note, there are many rules. If you go to this website, Purdue, you can get swamped with all the rules of do this when this and not this when that, and it can get very confusing depending on the style you're using, and there's a lot. For this paper, you're not being asked to be so meticulous and make sure you follow every single little rule by everything. But for now, I just want you to focus on citing your sources and being consistent on how you do that. If you use parenthetical citations, do that. If you're using footnotes, you do that, and have your bibliography at the end. If down the line you seek to publish, then you may have to be more meticulous following the guidelines of the publisher. But for this one, that's okay. Don't get swamped by all the rules and the different like tiny details. So at this point, I wanted to look a little bit at the HJI library and the resources there. So let me just pause this while I pull up the library website. Okay, here we are back. We're at the HJI website. And if you want to go to the library page, we just go under academics and then you go to the library. So, okay, here we go. So when you scroll down, you'll see the library catalog. You can look at the online catalog for books that the library owns, physical books. If you're not in the New York City area and can go easily to pick them up, it might not be so helpful to you. And then the resources, open access digital. This is you can find digital versions of publications that are outside of their copyright period. Usually a publication has like a certain copyright period where after a certain date it's considered open access. But this is usually things that are very old and probably aren't going to help you so much if you're studying something that is current. Project Gutenberg is similar. And we'll come back to ProQuest in a minute. That's our main place where we're going to look for resources. There's a few tutorials about using ProQuest and how to access ebooks, especially. There's quite a number of ebooks on ProQuest that you can take a look at and read. Can be very helpful. We have here some style guides for APA, Chicago, MLA, and also if you cite, if it comes to needing to cite AI in your paper, this is how to do it. This is the guide there. But as a reminder, according to our policy and our syllabus, you can only use AI for generating content unless you have prior permission from the instructor. That is me. We have a few journals. There may be some materials in there that are useful to you, depending on the topic. You can check them out. These are publications by HJI. So let's go back to ProQuest. And when you come here, you first have to log in, unless you're already logged in. And when you're going to log in, you need to choose this one. Don't search for your institution. Don't do this one. You have to do this one, the Q and the little swirly thing there. So if it's not there, clicked already. You put in the username and password. This is a shared username and password that is shared with students. If you don't have it already, I'll also post it in the announcements. If you lose it and forget it, you can also email library@hjai.edu to get it. So once we log in, you come to the search page. And right off the bat, I would always recommend click full text. Otherwise, you're going to get a bunch of resources where actually there's only an abstract. It doesn't help you. And also select peer reviewed. Peer reviewed articles, this is really where you can get your solid information. If something is peer reviewed, it is reviewed by the author's peers. So that means, not anyone can publish anything that they want, that other people are checking it for validity. So there's more confidence that what is being written, what is being put out there is accurate. So let's just search for something. We're gonna have it on all here because maybe it'll come up with some books. So let's just do a search. The Sudan Civil War. Just right there. Let's see what comes up. So right here we can see that we have over 16,000 results. That's quite a lot. Maybe is too many for me to like try to weed my way through. So a few things you can do to start to kind of narrow things down. You might do with filter for the last 12 months, the last 5 years, the last 10 years. So if we just click the last 5 years, and then it'll refresh, and now it's down to about 3,000 results. So there it already is kind of narrowing things down. It might be a little bit more manageable for me to to work through. So you just kind of go this. I mean, you might have to come up with your own process. Usually I start looking at the titles, I'll look at the abstract, and kind of start weeding through which ones might be helpful, might be not helpful. And then after I have kind of a collection of articles, I'll start looking through and seeing, which one to read further, which ones to eliminate. So, anyone you can see, like this one has a full text PDF you can download. You can click for the details, gives you an abstract, read it up, see if it's going to help you. And here you can have download PDF. And here I want to strongly emphasize this cite button. This will really help you to make things smooth and simple in generating citations. If say I do want to use this one, and so I just click here, cite. Select here which style I am using. I mean, really it's up to you. As you can see, there's like APA 5th, 6th, 7th, okay. And also, there's several versions of Chicago. So you just choose which one you're using for. I would recommend the most latest, and every time you are generating a citation, you use the same one. So let's do the APA 7th edition. It's interesting. Annotated. All right. Okay. I guess the annotated version has this whole abstract in there. We don't need that. Simplify. Okay. So here we go. We got the citation here. And then I just click copy, and then I can copy it over into my Word document. Easy, simple, so great. Okay. And just a few more search tips for you. Let's go back here. So if you put your search in quotation marks, it will search for exactly that term together. So if you look here, Like this article here has civil wars, war, civil war, Sudan, civil war. All the words are separate. Here, this one does have Sudan civil war, but what if I have a phrase I want only the articles that say specifically Sudan civil war. And so if I do that search, it will, and I put the quotation marks around my search term, then it'll come up with only those that have that specific term. It might help you, it might not help you. As you can see here, now this is 36 results. Maybe as I look through it, I'll say, well, these don't really help me. So you can go back to your general results. A few other search tips are using and or not. So for example, let's do this. If I want something about North Korea and denuclearization, I spelled that right. Okay. So then that would come up with articles that have both North Korea and denuclearization. Yeah. So as you can see, also my filter is still here, last 5 years, which may be what I want, maybe not. Then, so yeah, just a quick view. We can see that all of these are generally about, North Korea denuclearization. If I want to have search results about either of these topics, I can use or. The example, we can say so. This one will, it's a little bit like, it's very similar to and, but you might get 900,000 results, probably because we used or. But this will give you results that have children or adolescents. Some articles might have both, but you also get ones that have only children or only adolescents. And the third one that might be helpful for you is not. Let's let's do this one. Think of a search term here. Not. Okay, that works. Okay, so I wanted topics that are about the Sudan Civil War, but are not including results that are about the Janjaweed. So that these 3 different ways of kind of narrowing down your search might be helpful to you, but definitely use the filters of full text, peer reviewed, and looking at the publication dates. You don't want to go back too far because you're studying a current conflict. So let me just pause here again as we go back to. Okay, here we are again. So just a few tips to conclude about generating citations. First is definitely if you are finding sources and using sources through ProQuest, use the citation generator tool. It's very useful, it makes things so simple. You don't have to look at complicated guides about do this, do that, and it just does it for you. Another thing is this is the only place that I would recommend using AI would be to generate a citation for you. If you have resources that are not on ProQuest, but again, it's just so complicated sometimes and hard to follow, but use ChatGPT or any other AI tool to generate your citation. A few caveats is you have to be specific about the style you are using because AI can get things wrong and often does. And so you also need to double check if things are looking correct. And if you get a citation one time in this format, but then suddenly it's different, say, for example, previously it gave you a citation where it's author and then the year and then the title and then moving on that way. But then later it gives you a citation where it's the author and then the title and then something, something, and then the year is somewhere else. Those are two different ways of doing probably Chicago style. But so you have to check. You have to make sure it's consistent and give it specific instructions. So, and then finally, before I just give you a little demonstration of doing this is list your resources alphabetically by the author's last name in your bibliography at the end of your paper. So let's take a look at this. Okay, here we are again. So say there's this article on the BBC that I want to use for my paper. I'm citing it, the content and everything. So I need to generate a citation. So let me close this here. So I just simply go to your AI tool and okay, copy and paste. You give us specific instructions, the style. I want to use author year format. And it needs to be in my bibliography. So let us see what happens. Okay, so as we can see, this is I can simply copy and paste this, but I need to double check because it missed the author's name. So what I would need to do is if I copy, my computer is not cooperating with me. Okay, anyway, so you need to copy it and then you would have to replace the author's name here in the front. You still have to use your brain and you still have to, you can't just blindly trust AI, but it's a lot faster than trying to reference the guide and look back and forth and if this, then that, and just to make your life a little easier for generating citations. Okay, and that is it for today. I hope that was helpful for you, and I look forward to seeing your conflict briefs and commenting on them. Okay, bye-bye.